Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are at the season finale of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Lord of the Rings in name only. This episode kind of aggravated the hell out of me, and not because, they kind of took a piss on all of Tolkien, but because you could actually see in certain parts of this where if they had just done a generic show, it might have been interesting. It just didn't work as Tolkien. It didn't work really, but it would have been better. So let's hop right into it, and I'll give you my complete and final thoughts on it when we get done. So we start with Gandalf having a really goddamn bad day. Loses his apple, it rolls away from him, and then he finds Nori. Well, nope, it's a transmog witch. Feminim's in there, and they start praising him and thinking he's Sauron, and I'm like, why are they doing this? When I'm watching this, my only thing is that they obviously think their viewers are stupid to try to, what they're going to tell you in 15 minutes to, prolong the suspense. We've known since, the second episode? It's obviously very bad writing. These people have no clue what they're doing. They have no clue. They show Gladdy riding in to Celebrimbor's foundry. I can't remember the name of the town. We get Gladdy telling Elrond about the sea adventures.
I leapt from that ship because I believed in my heart I was not yet worthy of it. I knew that somehow my task here was not yet complete.
Swimming the sundering seas and all and such. It's lame.
I did not cross that bitter ocean, only to drown now.
Sauron gets to meet Celebrimbor.
This was the workshop of Celebrimbor.
The Celebrimbor? He's not here, is he?
Well, as a matter of fact, he is.
And Celebrimbor speaks in the third person, is kind of whacked out. We finally get some truth from Sauron about how he'd heard about Celebrimbor. And we understand that it's Morgoth talking about him. More likely he was speaking of, was it Fëanor? The guy that created the Silmarils, so that would be more of how he knew about him.
The master I apprenticed to used to speak of the wonders of your craft. I never dreamed I'd ever get the chance to see them in person.
And they do my favorite thing. They make Celebrimbor stupid. He doesn't know how to make an alloy.
Have you tried combining it with other ores to better stretch it out?
That wouldn't be suitable for this ore.
Why not?
Because in the amounts we need, it would too greatly dilute its unique qualities.
A trace of nickel added to iron to make a blade lighter and stronger.
The guy's like a master craftsman, all this other stuff, and he doesn't know how to make an alloy. It's the writers are not smart. They don't talk to anybody about anything. They don't understand how the regular world works, much alone a fantasy world that this man created years and years ago. And to me, it's annoying to me. You sound stupid to your own viewers. I'm like, my jaw literally hit the ground in that scene. And it might just be because I have more of a blue collar background and dealing with metals and stuff like that and actually paying attention. But it blew my mind that, Sauron had to explain to him how to make an alloy. It was completely annoying. And once again, like I said, we're making Tolkien's character stupid.
Oh, Owl's beard. Enough with the quail sauce. Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
Hey, you're still here. Well, most people are gone by now. But since you're still here, if you wouldn't mind, drop a like, maybe a sub, comment, share the video. It'd really help me out. I'm a little nobody here on YouTube, and it encourages me to make more videos.
Call it a gift.
Then we go back to Numenor. The king is dying. The students have been chosen to capture his essence. And of course, Boobs McGee's in the group, about to play a pivotal role in this series. Finally, she's going to get a serious role in this series. No, we don't need her. Get rid of her. She ends up drawing the king. He has an episode, and he somehow calls. I noticed he called her. Tells her you will be queen, and I'm like, oh God. He ends up sending her to the Seeing Stone. So now you know she's going to be a pivotal person because she's going to be with the queen because she can see the stone and the queen can't. It's just another made-up character that doesn't make sense.
I would not be standing here otherwise.
You should not be standing here at all.
High King Gilgalad shows up. He is definitely not happy. The tree is definitely not happy.
Since the Mountain of Fire's eruption, the great tree is all but bleeding leaves. Soon the last will fall, and unless our people leave these shores, so shall we.
We get all the lines from Adar about Sauron from Celebrimbor.
Not of strength, but of spirit. Not of the flesh, but over flesh. This is a power of the unseen world.
Gladdy finally wakes up. And Halbrand is just walking around talking to Galadriel, just showing off. He is friggin' Sauron.
I can still hardly believe it. Someone like me, here, working with the elven smiths of Eregion.
I mean, he might as well just, you know, have the helmet on and everything. We get back to Gandalf. The weird girls that show leg all the time still think he's Sauron. He starts freaking out. They knock him out. Here come the Harefoots to save the day. Eminem pulls the same trick. Static gets stabbed with a throwing knife. Doesn't die. I mean, he's a little teeny guy. Took a decent sized blade and he doesn't die fairly quickly. Gandalf gets mad and starts fighting and doing all this stuff. They beat the hell out of him. I actually, like I said, if I remove Tolkien from this, I kind of enjoyed this scene. It's different in a way, but it's the same in another way. It reminds me of the Sauron Gandalf fight, but a little different. If I look at it with an open mind and didn't know anything about Tolkien, period, and was stupid, I would have really enjoyed it. But I kind of got what they were trying to get. They just suck. They can't complete the feelings you get when you watch a scene. It doesn't work. Gandalf gets a staff. We see that the witches are like Nazguls or something. That's exactly what they look like when he kills them. The moth thing. And the grumpy old man dies. It's kind of campy. Like he just sits in the sunlight and his eyes just drift away. It's kind of campy. It really is. And you're supposed to care about this guy that's been an asshole for, 6 episodes and the 7th. You're supposed to care about this person. No, didn't care. Elendil and the Queen looks like they're going to use their loss to bring them together.
That the way of the faithful is committing to pay the price, even if the cost cannot be known.
Some weird thing. I guess they're going to be romantic in the next series.
And I, for one, will see to it that we make the end worth the price.
Come what may.
I will say some of the dialogue here is a little better than what they've been writing. It's not so much daytime drama. It feels like they put a little more into it. It's still shit, but this episode you get more feelings of like they're getting close to where they needed to be at the end of the season, at the start of the season. I could have dealt with some of the dialogue being the way it is in this episode compared to how it was in the first episode, if this was the first episode, but it's not. It's the season finale, and there's just a little twinkle of okay, a little twinkle. Sauron once again fixes Celebrimbor's problems.
We've been pushing ourselves too hard.
Pushing ourselves too hard. Supposing we've been using too much force.
Gladdy finally gets the news that Halbrand is not real and she's been lusting after Sauron. I did like the line about how long he's been alive and stuff when Gladdy confronts him. But I think that's almost a direct taking from Tolkien, which is probably the only reason why I like it.
I have been awake since before the breaking of the first silence.
In that time, I have had many names.
He sentenced Gladys into her memories. You know, she's got her brother. He tells her to touch the darkness. They freak out.
Do you remember what I whispered to you under this very tree? Touch the darkness once more.
And they get back on the raft, and this is the coolest imagery I've seen in this series, even though it's a moot point. When they're on the raft arguing, you look down at the water, and it's Galadriel as queen and Sauron as king. Had this been a different character other than Galadriel, it would have been a better scene. Had it been a better actor than Moyford Clark, because she only has 3 expressions. But the biggest thing that makes that scene no sense, we know Galadriel turns down the One Ring, and they use the same lines from from the movies here, where he's telling her what she would be, and she said, and in the movie she said, "I'll be this."
You would make me a tyrant.
I would make you a queen. Fair as the sea and the sun. Stronger than the foundations of the earth.
And you, my king.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work with Galadriel. It doesn't. They should have made her a random elf.
To beg them for a few petty soldiers. What will they do when you tell them that you are my ally? When you tell them that Sauron lives because of you!
And you will die because of me!
Sauron could have easily just killed her, and he didn't. Which, I would think Sauron would have killed her. So, they find her, she runs back, and she decides 3 rings to make balance. So Galadriel is the reason there's 3 rings. Oh, and they have to melt her brother's dagger, which was dumb.
We must make 3.
3? Why 3?
One will always corrupt. 2 will divide.
But with 3, there is balance.
We end up back to Gandhi. You know, he's talking. They have some. He's even philosophical now. Like, he's a completely different character than he's been in the whole series. Sam's going to be the trail finder. Nori has a sappy goodbye with her family. I actually liked her family. They were like the best out of the Harefoots, which isn't saying much. I didn't like her overacting. But out of all the Harefoots, if you had to pick a group to like, it would have been her family. And you kind of enjoyed the Harefoots for acting more like hobbits than Harefoots. You know, they weren't psychotic and thinking of reasons to take people's wheels and leave them behind. And Nori's going to go off with Gandalf, and we get the line.
When in doubt, Eleanor Brandyfoot. Always follow your nose.
I'm pretty sure that that's from one of the main books and the movies. Follow your nose. I think it's Gandalf either talking to Frodo or Bilbo. And so I had to look it up because it sounded so familiar to me. And like I said, I'm not a Tolkien nerd or a historian or anything like that. I'm pretty normie when it comes to Tolkien. But even I recognize that. So, recycled material. And so Gandalf and her are going to follow their nose and move on. Then they start crafting the mithril, the rings. And they melt the dagger. I was okay with that. You know, the VFX looked okay. I wonder if it would, I kind of wonder if it was real in a way, but there wasn't any flashing on top when they melted down. There still would have been some impurities they'd had to get out. And then they just throw the mithril in. Like, just toss it in there. And they create the rings. The rings don't even look that good. They look cheap compared to the Lord of the Rings movies. Somebody was saying you can see the seam line where it was cast plastic. I didn't go into it that far. I was seeing some pictures on Twitter and stuff like that. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, it's only $60 million an episode. You can't really make some rings. But when they throw the mithril in, we get the Eye of Sauron. We've got an Eye of Sauron on like 3 or 4 things. And then we get the Rings of Power. And the way they shoot it, they look at each other, they shoot it, they look at each other. It's comical. They had to do something corny at the end. And then we get Sauron back in Mordor, headed towards Mount Doom. And it is some of the worst green screen I've ever seen. And that's the end of it. So we're done. So where does this leave us? They already started filming season 2. And now we're going to get a more mechanical episode. Which, I don't even understand how you can get more mechanical. You're going to bring back Galadriel's husband, and she's going to run off and live with him and have a daughter and all this other stuff that actually went on in the Second Age. Learned a lot from YouTube. Or you're going to continue to piss all over the lore. I think if they'd used a generic elf that didn't matter or lived or died as they could even use it as a female protagonist and played the role of Galadriel, did not have to be Galadriel, this would be better. 100% better already. But the fact that they use Galadriel and we know her interaction with the One Ring, it doesn't make sense. And it's her idea to make the 3 rings to get the power. Galadriel's been the villain the whole episode. She dragged Sauron out of Numenor. He was just going to stay there and smelt swords. He was just going to make swords. And Galadriel pulled him out. Pulled him into this conflict. Got this feeling with him. He was done with her. But when they were in combat together and this and that, they started to fall in love. And it's stupid. It's completely stupid. This is not something Galadriel would have done. Some of this stuff would have been brought up in Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship and all that stuff. It would have been, instead of being like, oh, I would become a queen and this and that. And she would be like, oh, that's my ex-boyfriend's ring. I mean, plain and simple, it is what it is. This is a horrible show. I don't even know if I'm going to check out season 2. If there's enough hate on it, I might. I'm kind of interested to see where they're going to go. But I don't think these show writers have the capability to make anything decent. This is really, really, really bad. And the bad thing is you can see sometimes in the background, if you remove yourself from it completely and look at it with a blank mind, it looks okay. And I mean by blank mind, like you're drooling. Blank mind. So all in all, this series is bust. It was a chore to watch it and make these videos. I really wish I could review something I really like. I'm going to have to go back to a movie or something from a couple years ago to be able to do that. There's nothing good coming out. But thanks for watching. Have a good one.